Good morning, Big Brother Hometown Viewing Lounge. I'm not even going to change my name because I don't even freaking care. It's what I believe in, what I believe in my heart, and I'm going to stick with it. But this is another edition of Morning Tea with CLC, and I'm CLC, and we're going to spill everything BBH 14 on, I think, day 14. Oh, so good. It's so good. It's so good. Live Night was amazing. If you've not seen Live Night, spoiler alert, we're going to be covering Live Night and the eviction that leads up to it. So I fully recommend, if you're watching this and you haven't seen Live Night, I fully freaking recommend you go and watch not only the Live Night that was streamed to Facebook, but as well as the live commentary that Mitchell and Crystal led. Absolutely, go watch it. It's a great freaking time. And and we're going to get into it. So we'll give you kind of the spark notes, but I fully still recommend you go watch it. Let's bring in my guest to talk all the shenanigans. Let's bring in, let's start with the winner of Big Brother Hometowns 13, Crystal.
Hi.
It's really crazy because I have all winners here. How about me bring the winner of Cutthroat All-Stars, Mitchell Stokes.
Disestablishmentarianism, baby.
Winners only in this chat.
And the winner of Survivor Superfan 32 and the winner of Big Brother Hometowns 3, Max Steady.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, this winner energy. I love it.
Does anybody else feel like they have whiplash this morning?
No, yeah.
I'm barely alive.
So tired.
I went to bed before midnight, and I have not done that, honestly, probably since I was 7 years old. It was insane. Just because of how tired I was. I was tired for them. Because just getting into it, they had one of the most grueling comps that they've ever had in a 24-hour BBH arcade that a lot of people put a lot of effort into to eliminate Daniel from safety, to get Daniel on the block next to Abby. Ryan then wins the power of veto, does not use it. And we get into the eviction that kind of precedes the Live Night. Ultimately, some things I just want to quickly talk about before we head into Live Night, because really the round leading up to it wasn't that juicy. We have kind of a storyline that kind of you see a little bit forming before Live Night. You see people lying about the Men's Are Trash Alliance. Danielle lies about it to Jabbar. Angelica lies and says it was just a chat that Danielle made to tell all the girls during her HOH reign that all the girls are going to be safe at top 13. So nothing to worry about. It's
such
really
a terrible lie. It's a terrible lie.
Yeah, it's horrible lie. Horrible.
It's not even that active. No one ever talks in it.
It's only active. Yeah, literally, it's not active. No one talks in it, even though in that screenshot during the competition, people are very much talking in it. But it's not active at all.
It was at the top of her chats. It was one of her most recent chats, but nobody ever talks in it.
No. And the funny thing is, obviously, we know that Courtney has leaked this out the wazoo. Jabbar knows. Daniel knows. I think Jack knows. People know about this alliance. And they're over here lying about it. It's oh, babes, only if you knew that the whole house already knew about it before the screenshot, but y'all have just given them full ammunition to talk about it now. So you have that small storyline with some other things that kind of build up to Live Night. Let's just talk about him, because he's going to be the main person we talk about tonight, and that's Robert. Robert is a mess. Cleanup on every aisle in the supermarket. This man was a fucking disaster here in round 5. Comes in a great position, actively targets Daniel in the BBH arcade comp, backs off because Daniel clocks him for coming after him, then tries to rally the troops against Daniel for himself. It's actually, I can't do it. How about you all other people do it? And the problem in that is he gets clocked. Jabbar tells Daniel at the beginning of the day, Robert was rallying troops to eliminate you from safety in that competition, which just confirms everything Daniel's been thinking. I knew that bitch when he posted that Bejeweled score. He wanted me out of safety. He wasn't doing it to win HOH. He was doing it to knock me out of safety. Let's talk about the mess that Robert creates before Live Night.
Oh god. Hey, Robert, can you call Robert says, "No, I'm sorry. I was playing Bejeweled. What's up?" Like,
there was just so much that Robert did poorly this round, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday on the T segment about Robert, but like Robert was playing this very stealthy game, but he was also pushing more than necessary, and it finally caught up with him. The push to make Daniel not have safety exposed a lot of the cards. And then the mistake to not send Daniel out the door, which AJ and Robert were talking about, I was absolutely gobsmacked yesterday to get to a point in the day where everybody was like, you know what? Daniel deserves to be on the jury. And it's like, what? Like, that's the metric that we're using for this vote? Like and honestly, you know what? When you engage in clownery behavior, you get clownery results. And
when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And congratulations, Robert! You've earned mayor of the jury. I hope
it was worth it,
right?
It was baffling to me yesterday to watch. I mean, I feel like mostly pushed by Angelica, really. Like, no, I think Daniel singing the game is good. Like, I think that he deserves it. Like, Abby doesn't really talk to us. Like, I think, and I mean, there was a very valid concern that if you're sitting next to Abby on the block in 3 or 4 rounds, is anybody going to evict her? I think that's a very fair argument for this. However, I think it was so dumb to keep her in to keep the eviction vote on her and to keep Daniel in the game.
Yeah.
And obviously, and obviously, hindsight is 2020.
Yeah,
so,
but
it's not even hindsight. They didn't know what the challenge was going to be. Daniel's been crushing it, and it's like the likelihood of him winning the live night HOH was very high. And don't be bothered when you didn't take him out. Like Abby's history probably wasn't going to win. Y'all could have just snapped her off, but no, you got to be cute. You had to be, I don't know. That was just so dumb to me. I don't know.
In the last 3 vetoes, he has placed first, and second coming into live night. Like he has been, like he was 3rd place in the HOH leading up to live night. Like, and there are valid things. Like Angelica, I mean, Daniel had promised Angelica she was safe at live night. Angelica really wants Daniel, who is a comp threat, to take shots at Jabbar and RT, which Jabbar is a wrong read. Ryan is a decent read. I think Daniel will target Ryan in a couple rounds, not like anytime soon. Like, I get those reads, but at the end of the day here, when Robert is in your final 2 plans and Robert is a strong competitor, eliminate another strong competitor so Robert can continue to win in the jury phase and keep you safe. Yes, there are valid reasons to keep Daniel, but I feel like there are more valid reasons to eliminate him. So, and we said at the morning tea, I said Daniel should go home. And the fact that he didn't is clownery. And the whole house bit for it. They all did. And
I love it. They deserve it. They deserved it based off the decision. I mean, literally Danielle, Robert, and AJ all were sitting there saying, I think this is dumb. But they knew, they really felt like if they tried to push it that it wouldn't work and that it wasn't.
That was multiple people. That was like most of the house. It's like if you guys just talk to each other, you'll all know you're on the same page here and you can do something about it. But everybody was being like cagey, which is weird because they're all so loose-lipped about everything else.
This is a theme of this season. Like people have their preferences, but they're not willing to go out on a limb to make that preference happen because they're scared of being the person that pushes anything.
Mm-hmm. And kind of reminiscent of BBH9, honestly.
It is.
Literally. Oh, it is.
We've had so many unanimous or near unanimous votes. And it's just like, it's just the thing, like one person going home cannot be good for everybody. Like, sure. So like people are sacrificing their own games in order to blend in, but you can't, you're getting to the point where you can't hide anymore. So
I think it was our dear Lance who in one of his chats or something referenced being thankful to Daniel for not voting him out when that's exactly what Daniel wanted to do.
right.
But he's grateful for it, but it's like, no, everybody voted the same person no matter what they wanted. It doesn't, those votes mean literally nothing. Anyone who's like, oh, and my favorite also is when people are like, well, we've been voting the same way this whole time. So has everybody. That doesn't mean anything. Why do you keep using it?
No, Lance translated. Carl, mute yourself. Oh my God. Lance.
Even Danielle Daniel was like, well, we've been voting the same way. Oh shit.
Yeah, Lance translated the unanimous vote to evict Tommy as like, well, now I have all these people that have my back and I can't put anybody up anymore. And I'm like, Lance, baby, that's not what that means.
That is not how that works.
No.
So yeah, but I think, and I guess we'll get to this. I don't know if we're going to get there yet, but Lance is potentially on a different track in this game, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, let's not skip over. I don't want to like.
Yeah,
we don't know where Carl is, but let's not skip over live night.
There he is.
I muted you because you were being loud. Sorry.
Oh, was my mic not muted to begin with?
It was not.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, I went to go get ice, and I thought I muted myself. JK, love that for me. Yes, we will get to kind of forward thinking and some people who, I mean, really only two people really talk after live night, and I'm excited to see where that goes. Some other fun things that lead up to live night, a kind of rivalry that I want to get into, but obviously I want to be careful about it. We have Jabbar, who starts to actively target Angelica and Robert. He starts the clock that there are things that he tells Robert that Angelica immediately finds out about, and he wants that duo to be eliminated. He's like, I can clearly see the train of information and how it facilitates throughout the house. I see that they are close, and I want them to be broken up. His target is Robert, because Robert is in a great position in this game. That is an accurate read. Robert is good with everybody, and someone will have to cast the first stone. And on the flip side, Angelica starts to become suspicious of Jabbar, and which is further affirmed by Erica, because Jabbar comes to Erica proposing a 4-person alliance of Jabbar, Daniel, Courtney, and Erica. And Erica goes, oh, so you are close to Daniel and Courtney. Our suspicions that Courtney has been playing all the sides is confirmed. So we start to see this kind of Robert and Angelica versus Jabbar, and I'd even throw RT in there because Robert actively is pushing that Jabbar and Ryan are a duo because of how information facilitates between Jabbar and Ryan. But that's just Jabbar in general. Jabbar just leaks everything under the moon, and it just so happens that Angelica just so happens to call Ryan after she tells stuff to Jabbar, and Ryan already knows it. But so does the entire house. It's just Ryan gets clocked for it. So they think Ryan and Jabbar are some duo, which is not necessarily true, even though my favorite storyline right now is the fact that the Plague Doctors have now lost 2 people back-to-back, Tommy and now Abby. And now the 3 people that remain are actually talking about having a real alliance in the
resurrection.
Is this going to be a real alliance now? Or
they're rebranding?
They're rebranding.
I hope they do.
Which I love that.
Yeah, and it's funny too because like Jabbar has very little interest in really actually being perceived as a duo with RT. Like he's actually been throwing RT under the bus so much, and like, and now Jabbar is pushing this very fun narrative of RT being a Big Brother Hometown super fan, and will make like small little comments about like, oh, did you hear what RT said about like what the next competition was? Like, I didn't know I needed to be a super fan of this series in order to do well. Like, it kills me.
I love it.
Yeah, so good. So let's get into what we're all here to discuss. It's live night. Coming into live night, the only 2 people that we kind of universally thought had no chance of going anywhere were Erica and Danielle. Unless they were up against each other on the block, no chance either of them is going home. None of them have been discussed as targets. None of them have been discussed as like noms that have a chance to go home. Like they are sitting pretty, and I haven't done my prod rankings, but they are at the top of it, and rightfully goddamn so. Their social games are so good. They're with everyone. They're with the Men's Are Trash. They have their Daniel and Courtney and Jabbar all like them, and then they've got the kind of like the loose ends like Lance and Ryan, who doesn't have anyone super right now, all like them as well. So truly,
Jabbar, I will say Jabbar is suspicious of Danielle.
He's suspicious of everybody.
He is, but he actively said that too in his DR yesterday, where like when he was on that call with Danielle, and he was like, Danielle, I don't know if I should say anything.
Yeah.
You know, because he's all about the drama. Jabbar is all about the drama. And so
all
he's like,
about the drama.
Oh, I don't know, Danielle. Oh, I don't know, Danielle.
I thought he was really going to say something.
And then,
But I'm going to tell you.
and he goes, but I'll say it. I will say it. She said, and she literally stopped him and goes, I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna talk about the Men Are Trash Alliance. I know. She's like, don't worry, it's fine. There's nothing. It's not an active chat, like we said earlier. It's not an active chat.
She's like, I wish it was active.
Yeah, and Jabbar literally goes to his yard and goes, lies.
Lies.
Oh, another lie. Okay, like he's clocked that's not true. Even he already knows it's not true, and that's partially why he was able to make that read. But he's suspicious of her, but I do think Danielle is in a great spot.
Absolutely. So let's get into our HOH. Our HOH is touchy subjects. Let's go over all the answers. I don't feel like we didn't do that on live. We didn't do it on live night. So I need to no offense to K-Power or Max. I know y'all were doing this quick. It's just there's some capitalization stuff I want to fix before I send it to the house and to the Discord because I'm anal about.
No, I understand.
You're anal about capitalization, but you won't put scores in order.
No, because that takes effort. Because that
Carl.
requires me to have to create new rows and have to put them in order. But like capitalization takes no effort. Because I'm already typing in that cell. I just have to capitalize it. Girl, they can sift through the scores. They can figure it out.
It's better to keep it random for the house guests, so they have a looser idea of what the scores were anyway.
Oh my god!
I like the random. I mean, I will put the POV in order because it's 6 people. But for an HOH comp of 13 people, Mary, I'm not putting that shit in order.
You can sort by score in a spreadsheet.
Yeah, you can literally sort it on a spreadsheet. It's like it takes 2 extra clicks.
That'll mess up the color order.
Correct. Moving forward, our questions are: who would you trust with your life? Answers: Courtney and Erica. Who cannot win this game? Lands. Who deserves to win this game? Daniel. Who needs to be blindsided to be evicted? Daniel and Jabbar. Who should be considered for BBH All-Stars? Ryan and Daniel. Who should not be considered for BBH All-Stars? AJ and Lance. Who wrongly thinks they are in charge? Robert. Who is actually in charge? Jabbar. Who would you love to be stuck in the real BB house? Erica. And who would you hate to be in the real BB house? Ryan. Who is flying under the radar? Jack. Who do you expect to be the viewer's favorite? Danielle and Ryan. If you had the sole vote to evict, who would you evict? Daniel. Who has been the most dishonest with you? Daniel. And which evicted house guest should still be here? Nikki. What are your big takeaways from these touchy subject answers? And ultimately with Daniel and Jabbar tying for the win and Daniel ultimately winning the tiebreaker. Kind of what are your big takeaways from touchy subjects?
I think it's hilarious that yesterday we sat here and said there's no way in hell Daniel wins HOH because he had such terrible reads. And then Daniel waltzes into live night, wins the touchy subjects HOH, and then does exactly what he needs to do in order to execute the plan that he wants by reading exactly what he needed to read. So we look like Boo Boo the Fool today, but I'm excited. I'm happy for Daniel. I'm really happy for him, and we'll talk a lot more about him coming up, I'm sure. But in terms of the like results of HOH, there were so many infuriating things while I was watching it. Crystal and I were on the commentary. I have the spreadsheet pulled up and we're watching live commentary, and I'm literally watching Robert and Angelica throw away their chance to win the HOH. Some of the obvious answers they were afraid of saying what would hurt someone's feelings, and they threw their answer, and they lost the competition by 1 point. And I guarantee you, once they like realize that or figure that out, they're both going to be kicking themselves for it. Like I'm the one in particular I'm thinking about, like if you had the sole vote to evict someone from the game right now, who would it be? The obvious answer is Daniel. Literally, like out of the 10 people, like 7 people put it, 6 people put it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they lost by 1 point, and they both threw their
said themselves.
Yeah, they both said themselves in that question. They both threw off because they didn't want to cause waves or hurt someone's feelings or whatever, and it ended up biting both of them in the ass. And I was there for Team TV. I was there for Daniel or Jabbar to win ultimately because I thought it would be the most interesting result. But it was good drama to watch as the scores were so close the entire time, and like, but then to watch them throw it away really did kind of suck because like they had it right there. They had the opportunity to get into that tiebreaker, and they both screwed themselves.
Yeah, I mean, and it was great. I was great watching from the side because Jabbar was leading the entire time. He only gets one of the final 4 correct, and Daniel gets all the final 4 correct to tie it up. Like Jabbar threw it away, which I mean, I guess was part of his whole gameplay anyway, which we'll get into the theatrics of all this. But Crystal, back to you.
I mean, if they were genuinely, it's silly to be like, well, I don't want to hurt people's feelings because everybody is going to name somebody. So honestly, it'd probably just get lost in the cacophony of answers, and you needn't worry about it and just try to win.
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny that Robert's like, oh, I don't want to hurt Daniel's feelings, but just 48 hours ago, I was like, knock that bitch out of Bejeweled. but today, I can't.
Feelings after the game, whatever. Feelings in this moment right now, no.
Like, it is a game. I trust.
It is hard because because you're live, right? You're live. Like you are literally there. This is like me, like this would be like if we were sitting on this podcast right now ranking our friendship with each other. You know what I mean? Like that's what it's doing, right? Like that's what Touchy Subjects is designed to do. And in this capacity, the way that it was ran, you're actively saying someone's name right in front of them, right? So it is
awkward. Yes.
I get the awkward, and if you have an aversion to conflict, or if you are worried about.
Have you seen Angelica? She was giving us conflict last night.
Nice.
That's a messy bit.
Angelica's not worried about conflict, so.
Well, she's not.
No, she's not. We stand. Let's talk about
this.
The community.
Yes. So there were some really bad answers.
Oh my god! Yeah, for which affected house guest should still be here. Nikki is the obvious answer.
Yes.
Allie, Julia, and Abby, and Tommy. Ooh, do I hear an echo? Is it just me?
Yeah.
Why is it brand new?
Is it Crystal?
I'm good. I didn't hear anything.
Oh, it's still echoing. Weird. Yeah.
Not me.
Anyway.
This is great television.
Someone else talk about the juror question.
Okay, let me try. Okay, cool. All right, so I could get behind a Tommy answer for this, and that's basically the only other person I could get behind. Oh my god, it's still happening. But Allie, no. The last question, where like you know that you probably have a shot, like that's just inexcusable. Like Robert choked, and that's it. I don't know.
They threw it away
on purpose.
I don't think so, because I really do think everybody was trying. Like the conversation yesterday was them wanting to win because they wanted to be safe. But they had Robert and Angelica both should have won that competition. They both threw their answers away on specifically the sole vote to evict question and the question about the juror. The obvious answer should have been Nikki. There.
Angelica did say Nikki for that one.
Angelica
did.
Okay,
good.
Yeah. But yeah, Nikki's the obvious answer because the other 4 jurors all earned their spot on the pre-jury. All of them did. Nikki was the only one who everyone was universally very upset at at the renomination put up next to Nikki. This was an obvious answer. Damn, that fucking echo.
Leave and come back, Carl. See if that works.
Yeah, it's so weird. I almost hit end broadcast. Ah!
Whoop.
Wait, did it fix itself right before he?
I don't know. Anyway, this is sipping tea with Mitchell Stokes now. Good morning.
We're back. I want Stokes up here. Just for consistency, it's how I added y'all in. My OCD comes in waves.
It does.
Oh, it does.
Which choices?
Let's talk about my favorite thing of the night, which is Jabbar's theatrics during the tiebreaker. So Daniel and Jabbar tie for 9 out of 15 points, and here comes the theatrics of Daniel. Pinky promised me I'm safe. I'm safe, right? Asked like 4 times, and then after he's been promised safety 4 times, he was like, "Oh, also, can I save 3 people in your HOH?" Daniel's like, "What the fuck?" Like, Josh was like, "I need to score. I need to score." Jabbar's like, how long until you disqualify me from the HOH competition? But Pinky promised, Daniel. Josh like, "Can I have a score?" Pinky promised. It's a mess of a minute.
This is my moment. I'm stealing the stage.
He does. He knows how to make it about him. I will say if there's anything that Jabbar knows how to do, he knows how to make it about him, which is fun. That's for good TV. This was absolutely fucking awful on Jabbar's part. Like, because not only did you, like, Daniel, you could see the panic in Daniel's face. He was like, wait, Jabbar, what are you doing? Jabbar,
wait, am I safe with you? They had a public discussion in front of everybody. It was so weird.
Horrible. Like, I get what. Nope.
I don't get it. It made 0 sense. You in that instance right there, you cut your losses. You like you said, Carl. You say $3 billion, and
you move on.
You move on. Like, thank God I'm not the HOH, but thank God I'm safe. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But they feel so vindicated. Oh, not that. They feel so vindicated in all of this because they like concocted this entire lie of like, well, Jabbar had to save X, Y, and Z person, and Daniel bought right hook, line, and sinker into this fucking awful lie, and then perpetuated it to the whole house and was like, oh, you guys, there were other people that I wanted to nominate, but I can't. Terrible. But I need to honor the very public deal that I made with Jabbar. Bitch, what?
Yeah,
your very public deal that like would have been the same exact deal had y'all made it in private. Like, it made no sense. It made absolutely 0 sense. And I think it's just. I think in a situation where Daniel and Jabbar both could have gotten out with minimal blood on their hands, they have blown up their target even bigger than the move that they made.
Yeah.
Crystal's graphic says it best. I fucking hate it here. This is the same setup I have every morning.
I don't know.
Anyway, back to my segment of the show. Okay.
Do we have Crystal's graphic pulled up? I don't know if we do. Hold on.
Maybe he was trying to do that. I don't know.
I think
those were put together very quickly. I was like, let me knock these out before I go to sleep.
They were awesome.
I'll download them and upload them into the.
Crystal's graphics.
Yeah.
Yeah, Crystal's graphics. I mean, literally. Jabbar really said, I got some handcuffs. I'm going to handcuff myself to Daniel so hard and throw ourselves into the ocean and just drown together. Like, this was such a mistake. Like, Jabbar, you were safe. Throw $3 billion on the fucking note card and enjoy Live Night. Enjoy it. Bask in it. Because ultimately, he still convinces Daniel of everything that he wanted. Jabbar got everything he wanted. He didn't need this fucking theatrics of I saved 3 people, which I imagine Jabbar will absolutely highlight all throughout today. That I saved you. Literally this.
Daniel's face in this cast photo is like so fitting for this right now because Daniel's just
hilarious.
So good.
Like even just him in front of the chalkboard, like
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
So
know what he
good.
was thinking when he picked this picture because it's so meme worthy.
Yeah.
So
the other thing I want to talk about just real quickly is how RT like really threw this HOH badly.
Blatantly. Like I mean,
so badly. He finished with a
Gal.
score of 2, but like was not even saying answers that could be plausible. Like,
yeah, the next lowest score was 6. Like,
yeah,
That was Courtney, right?
was Jack and AJ.
Oh, interesting.
Well, Courtney ends with 7.
Because Courtney has got herself in a little bit of hot water here too with some of her answers and the way that she threw things on herself, like all the negative. Like Courtney will always throw all the negative things on herself,
and she did.
And Erica has clocked it.
Ryan literally said, "Who is flying on?"
When we started this,
Ryan literally said, "Who is flying under the radar?" Daniel. Like, excuse me.
And he laughed. The funny thing, he was laughing afterwards, like because as Carl was reading the scores, Ryan was always last because they were going in alphabetical order, and Carl had the same tone every single. And RT says whatever, and so he goes, and RT says Daniel, and RT goes like this.
Because he knows. He knows what he's doing. I mean, let's walk into some other ones. Who cannot win this game? Angelica. He damn well knows he's poking the bear with this one.
Oh
He
yeah.
knows.
Oh yeah.
Which juror or which pre-juror should still be here? Julia. I'm sorry.
That was funny though.
That was funny.
Julia was pushed
by
RT.
Like I had no words for just how ridiculous some of his answers were. He knows it.
He's good entertainment at least. So
yeah,
he's always entertaining.
Yeah,
when he shows up.
Yeah, just
he's playing more than anybody thinks he is, though. That's he's not getting on calls, but he's present. I don't know. If I think that he's got like a turf win equity because of a lack of activity. Like I think he's been very present in the game, while also being busy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he didn't get can't win the game. I don't think he got a single vote. I think Lands got all the votes.
People just forget about him quite a bit.
Lands got the most. AJ voted for himself. Courtney voted for herself. Danielle and Jabbar both voted for Jack, and Ryan obviously voted for Angelica.
The only person who voted Ryan for flying under the radar was Daniel. So, I mean, yeah.
I think what's happened here is Daniel's very bad reads at the beginning of the game. He's been through so much now, and he's gotten so much more information that his reads are bound to be more on point because he's just simply more in the fray than he was when he was like in his ivory tower with his trio.
Yeah, agreed.
And we did talk about that at the mess report potentially, where like I think we were saying that Abby was the likely one to survive from the trio, but we said that Abby would be like she would be in a good spot from that because she'd be able to like recover well. And I think that the same applies for Daniel. Like I see Daniel being able to recover here as the last remaining member of that group, because people now are like, well, why are we wasting time getting Daniel out when there are now other things that have come up that we need to worry about? So,
and they do seem to be trying to form some sort of underdog group. It's almost like a bad word now. With the non high pointed women or men are trash group. It's weird. Like the layout of the people is weird right now. It'll be interesting to see.
As long as their underdog alliance doesn't include a majority of the house, then I think they're going to be okay.
Right.
Not
like literally everybody but Angelica and Erica. It's like everybody else.
Cool.
Not bad. So let's move into more of the live night shenanigans. So Daniel wins the tiebreaker. Daniel goes 14. Jabbar throws and goes 100. Daniel wins it. Keep me up with the shtick that is this. Jabbar gets to save 3 people. He saves AJ, Ryan, and Danielle. So it only leaves house targets Jack and Lands, which Daniel, initially thought about putting Lance up. But ultimately, Jabbar wants Daniel to use the AJ logic. Do not put up the house targets. Don't do it. It's stupid. So Daniel wins. His initial target is Robert out the gate. He is pissed about Bejeweled. He is pissed that Robert has been going around pushing for him to be the live night boot. All these things. So his initial thought is Angelica lands, backdoor Robert, but doesn't want to piss off Angelica because he knows, he promised Angelica safety at live night. He doesn't want to go back on that. So eventually lands on doing Lance and Robert. Jabbar is like, boyo, do not do that. Lance will go home. The Men's Our Trash Alliance will rally the votes, and you will not get your way. Which Jabbar does this after Daniel has already told Lance, hey, love, you're going on the block. Hey, Lance, you're going up. Just heads up, letting you know. And Daniel texts Robert like, hey, sorry, I got to do what I got to do. And literally in the final minute, Jabbar convinces him Angelica has to go up. He calls Angelica, and Angelica's like, am I going up? And I think it's you, Max, or it's K-Pal, kicks them all off the Skype, ends the call for everybody. Because it's it's time up. You got to go back to the Zoom. There's no more discussing. He's not even able to tell Angelica, hey, you're going up on the block. Ultimately, Jabbar convinces him, Angelica, if you want Robert to go, Angelica has to go up. Your options are Erica or Angelica. You have no other options. If you want to secure it, Robert's got to go up. And that's exactly what happens. Angelica goes up next to Robert, and let's talk about the noms. Let's talk about, is this the right move? Period. End of statement. Is it the right move?
Yes.
Around the table, around the horn?
If you're
in that moment, yes.
Yeah, 100%. You put up Robert next to anyone who's not Angelica or Erica or Danielle, and you don't get what you want.
Right.
So
Definitely
I'm glad
Lance
that he was able
belongs.
to see through the trees there. Mm-hmm. Lance would have gone home easily.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm happy. I know, and that's the thing. Daniel has a soft heart and did not want to go back on his word or put up anyone else unnecessarily on the block. And he'll pay for it. Oh, he will.
Everybody's got to go.
You got to get blood in your hands at some point, and everyone's going to get nominated for the most part at some point in this game. So, got to suck it up, Buttercup. The thing I want to talk about is he puts up Angelica and Robert, and this might go down as one of the worst veto or nomination speeches I think I've ever heard. Daniel goes and goes.
He needed to be concise. He just needed to say it and do it.
Angelica, Robert, you're going on the block. Period. Done. End of statement.
Yeah.
What he does is, hey y'all, I came in with a plan today, but Jabbar, who has saved 3 people, has really wrecked my plans. AKA telling the people who Jabbar has told Ryan, AJ, and Danielle, hey loves, I have saved you all from the block. And he goes, I had other targets in mind. AKA Daniel now has told AJ, Danielle, and Ryan, you were possibilities. Just so you know, I wanted to put you up. Y'all were my targets. You better be thinking Jabbar's lucky stars. AKA, more people can be mad at me, but I'm going to have to put up Robert and Angelica, breaking his word to Angelica. So now he has Angelica, Robert, AJ, Danielle, and Ryan all gunning towards Daniel, being like, what the fuck, dude? Oh, and it gets worse. Let's get into the veto. I love this veto, by the way. We had our anything great. You can do, I can do better veto competition, where Danielle ultimately comes out on top. But let's talk about some highlights. Where is it? Crystal's name. Angelica doing the get-ups has my full life.
Oh, yes.
My scoliosis cured. So good.
It was such a moment of victory. It was so amazing. 1, she was so mad about it. 2, that she accomplishes her bet goal was just right down to the few last seconds. I'm like, this couldn't have gone better.
Yeah. 6 seconds to spare. After having to start over because she accidentally used a bench to stand up.
That was so funny. That was so funny. She also, my favorite part was when she, the first time she laid down, she goes, oh, I'm drunk.
You knew it on her face because she bet 12 and everyone held out their card. She goes, what the fuck? As I'm trying to because my camera's lagging and I'm trying to find the light so I can see these people's. Angelica can see it out the gate. She goes, oh, son of a bitch. I bet the highest. She knows it immediately. She's like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Which
but that was a that was like a huge
big-
confidence booster for her. Like
Yeah,
because like
absolutely.
one of
Yeah.
Angelica's storylines coming into this like org was that she was like, I've never won a comp, I've never like done anything like that, and she didn't ultimately win the veto, but she did a really great job in this veto competition specifically, and like pulling off a victory in that sense of like completing a physical comp like that maybe she didn't think she could accomplish, and you know, pulling that off. Like I hope she mentioned it several times in her chats last night about like, I'm so proud of myself, I can't believe that I did a physical comp and that I actually succeeded. Like, so
she said she's gonna ride that high for a long time.
Yeah, she
and
knocked
she
out
should.
2 people. She like did 2 of the things successfully.
Yeah, and she was she was potentially a wheel away from winning, so like that was awesome.
That the wheel took her out was the most tragic part. I was like, not the wheel after all of this.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the rules.
We'll get into
clear.
that. We'll get into that last wheel for a second and talk about.
Yeah, I mean, let's just talk. I mean, yeah, let's just talk about it. I mean, we get into Spoon Frog, where they have to bet how many Spoon Frogs they can accurately do in a minute. Jabbar bets 3. Angelica and Danielle both bet 1. Jabbar does successfully complete it, which means Angelica and Danielle, as the tied bottom bettors, go to a wheel. Danielle publicly said what her bet would be in the Zoom chat. She said, "I'm betting 1."
And
all Angelica had to do.
A lot of people didn't see it. I didn't see it. Several members of production didn't see it. Angelica didn't see it.
People were throwing left and right. Jabbar threw to Danielle as soon as Angelica got eliminated because he's like, I don't fucking care anymore. It doesn't matter to me. His big goal was like, I want the noms to stay the same. He didn't think Danielle would use it. Ha 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 ha.
Which I think is a terrible read because she's literally in an alliance that he knows about with both of them. So like, I think that was a terrible read on Jabbar's part.
I think
she was trying to throw it too. Like their bets in the jigsaw were both very clearly like, I don't want to win this.
She was taking her
kind of get stuck with it. She were.
I think Jabbar thought maybe Danielle wouldn't use it because she knew that Erica would possibly go up as a renom, and he had just kind of miscalculated whether. But honestly, and I'm sorry I skipped ahead, but it was probably the better situation anyway, and I'm sure we'll talk about it for the end goal.
Yeah.
But also, ultimately, Angelica gets wheeled out in that round. Danielle goes on to win the jigsaw, win the veto, and honors her pro-women stance, her allegiance to Angelica, who has had Danielle's back. I mean, once Danielle woke up in this game, Angelica was one of the first people to really, I mean, even before that, Angelica and Erica have been very pro-Danielle. So very much that social game comes back in full to pay Angelica back, takes her off the block, and Erica gets put up as Daniel's really only option here to ensure Robert goes. And honestly, I think it's the safer option as well. Angelica does have more enemies than Erica, and enemies is a strong word. Angelica doesn't really have anyone that's no one was like gunning for Angelica at Live Night. Like people were putting her on the block, but some people they didn't want her to go home. But definitely Erica's the safer option here.
I mean, Erica's on everybody's nice list, so.
Do we want to talk about how Danielle? Yes, we will talk about this.
Yeah,
we want to talk about how Danielle demonstrated how to do a speech correctly.
Danielle ate the speech, ate it, concise. She's like, "Here's my reason." Done.
Her reasoning was Angelica was recently first juror in another game, and she wanted to honor that. And I'm just like, that's great way to save face.
Perfect.
Like, don't make it too complicated, and then just go.
It's also a load of horse shit.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But it was great.
But for a live night where you just have to say something, like that was a great way to just like deflect.
And I have written down that
she's better for my game thing, just literally and outside of the game, like, well, I don't want to see this happen to her again, and women. Bye.
Well, Danielle did say that I just am going to do what's good for my game. She did say that in her speech. So
and then,
that is true.
Yeah, which was a bad thing during that kind of veto discussion was really bad because Daniel came to Danielle with the pitch of please don't use the veto because Angelica's going to be safe anyway. But like if you use it, I have to get more blood on my hands. AKA Danielle's like, period, done. I'm using it.
Yeah.
Like literally, she was like, is that going to negatively affect you? Oh, poor baby. I'm using the veto. What about it? Like Daniel, love you. Like she's not with you. She has no intention to be with you. She nominated you for a reason. So when you say this is going to hurt my game, she's absolutely going to do that. Absolutely, under every circumstance, she's going to do it. And when you're saying that Erica's going to be the renom and be like, but Erica's going to stay also, you gave her every reason to use the veto. Every damn reason. And Daniel did the right move. She fucking used it. Solidified something with Angelica, solidified men, like the women in Men Are Trash. Really more of a trio there of Danielle, Angelica, Erica, because Courtney will be cut out very soon.
I was wondering, has this had any impact on Danielle and Erica's relationship?
No.
Okay, good.
I think Erica understands.
Yeah.
No, she said, she literally said in her DR chat today, she said, I will remember this. I will not forget that Daniel was willing to put me on the block.
Danielle.
Danielle.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. Yeah. No, you're good. Yeah, no. Danielle, dead man walking.
Right.
Danielle, queen. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
No back. And that's what's so great about Danielle is like she literally made a big move here, saving Angelica, and no one's looking at her for it. No one's looking at her like, and no one's talking about how she's a comp beast, right? Like she literally won last Flamingo standing HOH. She won this veto. She won safety and code breaker. Like girl's good, and everyone's talking about how Daniel's the comp beast. Ryan's really good at stuff. Robert was a comp beast before he was taken out. It was Tommy for a minute.
I think Danielle's energy is so chill and just so on her calls, like no matter what the subject is, she never raises her voice. She never gets heated about anything. Like she's just really calm, and people aren't, just like, oh, pleasant person in the game, and they don't really get that like manic energy. A lot of our like heavier hitters in the competitions have been giving out. So I don't know. It's good for her.
At the veto ceremony, Daniel has another bad speech where he just rambles on a lot and just exposes a lot of his cards, being like, this is not what I wanted, blah, blah, blah. This is so hard, blah, blah, blah. And it's just showing and again, is reinforcing to Ryan, to Danielle, to AJ that Jabbar made this really difficult for me. And this is not what I want. It's just like, and it makes another enemy out of Erica, puts Erica up. Erica's like, bitch, I will not forget this. Like, I told you we were good, but bitch, it's on sight when I see you. If Erica's to an HOH, get your candle vigil out for Daniel. Get it out, because I worry for that man. So let's get into the eviction. Absolutely. I mean, there's no question. Everyone universally out the gate. It's time to save Erica, which is really funny because earlier in the
not getting taken down with the veto. He's the target. Going up on the block is Erica. Just completely unwinds, goes public on Zoom to give his last pitch, essentially. And like, what are you supposed to do in that moment? And other than that, and so I don't blame Robert for doing that. But I definitely could sense the like frenetic energy that was coming off of them, like while they were doing that. And then here comes Daniel to argue with Robert on the Zoom, like, and it was just like, it was like when he said, please stop talking so that I can say that I'm targeting you. And I lost my mind over that. That was so funny.
Freaking good. It's so good. I mean, it absolutely beats Chris Stoner's public plea of like, anyone want to play code names? Because like we're all talking on the stream, and then we just all hear Robert talking, and I'm like, what? And then we're like, oh no, not this. Robert's going live on Zoom.
Robert's going live on Zoom. Get to the Zoom. Robert's going live on the Zoom.
I was like, not this.
Like an air traffic controller.
Gotta go. Everyone, stop watching us. Go there. So good. It was worth every second. Honestly, Robert, so amazing. But
and Daniel talks for like a solid minute or two, and then Robert, does say like, "Can you stop talking? I need to pitch." And then Daniel says later, like, "Robert, I'm so sorry. I should not have interrupted you."
Like, just
He should not have.
No, it was so awkward.
Yeah, Live Night was full of like, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna do it. But also, like, I want you to know, I'm also sorry.
Yeah, y'all are sorry.
Time mess. Let's move into not this again.
It's back.
Okay, seems like it's good. I think it's gone now. I don't know what's going on. Oh, no, it's back again.
And now it's gone again.
Let's move into kind of just three last things I want to talk about. That kind of two things that were kind of after Live Night, and then one thing that's just been kind of universally throughout the first 14 days. And I'm going to talk about the person, the myth, the mystery that is Jack. Currently, I have written down who, what, when, where, why. I don't understand his game because I really don't. I thought I did for the first 7, 8, 9 days. I was like, oh, he's playing under the radar. He's trying to rewrite his paranoia game. Yada. We've reached a point now where he has no allegiance to anybody, no alliances, no real sense of where he's going in this game because he gave us a whiteboard of where he's like his ranking of people. Ryan being at the top of that list. Robert calls him and is like, hey, I'm willing to backdoor Ryan if you are. And Jack goes to DR going, I'm actually down to backdoor Ryan. He's like, I won't do it if I'm HOH, but I'm down for other people to do it. I'll vote him out. Is he not the top of is he not your favorite person in the house? Or like, huh? Whom? Like, what game are you playing? And literally coming into Live Night, before he's like, if I was to win HOH, he threw out the following names as possible options: Angelica, Courtney, Lance, AJ, and Erica. That's half the fucking house. He said it's like, oh, the noms are going to be Courtney and Lance. Then he's like, oh no, actually maybe Erica and Courtney. Actually, no, screw that. Angelica and Lance. Actually, no, scratch that. I don't know what this man's doing. Does anyone have an fucking
He's out there
idea?
making soup somewhere.
Yeah. So, don't come for the soup video. That was the best part.
That soup video.
Here's in my brain. Here's what's happening. Most of us and most people who will watch this are fans of the television show Survivor. Jack is giving me very Dr. Allison vibes from Survivor David versus Goliath. And you may be wondering, who is Dr. Allison? Great question. Thank you for asking. She is fifth. She made it all the way to 5th place. She was basically completely edited out of the show because her arc and her narrative didn't really end up factoring all that much into what was happening. I don't want to discredit the relationships that Jack is making. I think Jack is doing very well socially in this house with the people that are in the game with him. But I don't see right now where Jack's narrative factors into the overall game that is happening around him. And if this was to become an edited TV product, I don't know what Jack's story would be. I couldn't tell you where Jack fits in either. Like, I don't see him. I'm actually legitimately shook that we have people like Lance and like Jack who are in the jury who do not have an alliance.
They don't have an agenda. Like, they don't have a goal. Like, they're not working towards anything. They're just like waiting. Well, I'm not going to say Lance, but Jack is just like waiting for something to happen. But like he's waited so long that now he's everybody's possible renom option. And I feel like it's almost too late for Jack because.
But also, who's going to waste it? Who's going to waste their HOH on getting Jack out?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like Jack.
Everybody's like, oh, if I have to renominate somebody, then I guess it'll be Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Like, universally, it's so
Jack
weird.
could literally waltz to the final 3, though.
Absolutely.
Like him or Lance, one of them is going to waltz to the final 3, if not both of them.
And I mean, I guess that's why it's not a waste of an HOH to get one of them out, because that's taking up a spot that you could occupy.
Exactly.
So it's really, I think there's a stigma of like getting out like the maybe the people on the bottom in the jury, but that's really not that bad because they could potentially take up a spot that you could have.
I mean, if you're a top person, you need to get out those bottom people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Period.
Keep the threats around and shield yourself and get out the people who don't have a shot.
Exactly.
I didn't want to push that narrative last season, but you know.
Well, I guess we just misspoke because Jack isn't an alliance, if you want to call it one. The late night drinkers.
Well,
Angelica-
an alliance though.
That Angelica forms.
Girl, bye.
It's a group. It's a group.
It's just gonna be a group chat.
Yeah, I mean, hey, a group chat is a group chat, and people will talk strategy in it. I'm not sure.
Line denotation. I don't know. I'll have to think about it when I get there.
That will be just put it in bubbles. Like
yeah,
put it in swirlies.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
very
Not even line.
Yeah, like barely an alliance, but it's Angelica.
It won't
Ryan
even be
Courtney.
like a structured box. It'll just be a blob.
But that is Angelica, Ryan, Courtney, Jack, Erica, and Danielle, just forever, because we give you all the tea here. The last thing I want to talk about, which I want to highlight before we go out, is after live night, AJ calls Lands and is like, we gotta get our shit together. AJ says it. He's like, we've been playing too passive. He's like, this is our time. We need to rise up and gather the less fortunates in the house. They consider making a trio with Danielle, a trio with Jabbar, and a trio with Daniel. They're like, no, we are not the people to take the shot at Daniel. If they want Daniel out, they can do it themselves. And AJ and Lance have made a final two. They're going to make a bunch of trios. And AJ's fine. Someone is finally taking Lance under their wing. And he's like telling him, he's like, here are things you can and cannot do in this game. What we just talked about, you don't go tell other people that. You do not. Like, he's like, you talk strategy, yes, with other people. Go do that. He's telling him, like, Lance, here's our plan. Here's what you need to do. And I'm so happy for both of them, but specifically AJ.
I feel so. Yeah. Go ahead, Crystal. No, say that.
I hope Lance can take in what AJ's saying and apply it properly, because that's sometimes things get a little lost in translation. It gets still a little messy with it. So I really hope he can he's really smart, and I really hope he can take in socially, because being smart academically and being smart socially are different things. I hope he can take it in and apply it and like really do some work here.
Yeah. No, I feel so vindicated in all of the like fights that I've been in for the last 48 hours and in saying that like, this is not a bad move. This was not like a bad gameplay. This was not boring gameplay. That this was just setting Lands and up to do something exciting down the road. Like, where's the person that is gonna pick him up, and where are we gonna go with this? And I'm so glad that AJ has finally figured out. Like, maybe it was just the fact we made jury. It's time to wake up. It's time to not be passive. Like, but I'm just so glad that this is what's going on and what's happening, because I think they're the best. I think they're the best position in the game right now to make it to the end. And I would live to see AJ win this game. I don't think Lands could make it to the end with AJ and win, but I think Lands making it to the end and AJ being at the end with him would be such an amazing story. It would be so good for this season. AJ would be a fantastic winner. And like the call that they had last night was so Big Brother, Little Brother. Like,
can we pull up that graphic?
Yeah, I have it ready to go.
I just want to brag on.
It's so cute.
I cannot. I just want to brag on like the specific things that AJ told Lands in this call, because this is like the first time someone has literally just spelled out what's going on to Lands. AJ says, Lands, how do you feel with Daniel? Lands is like, well, personally, I get along with Daniel, but I get along with everybody on a personal level. And then AJ's like, but game-wise. And Lands is like, I think so. AJ's like, are you in an alliance with him? Lands is like, no. And then AJ's like, you're not a priority. And Lands is just like, what? Like, he's like, wow, I guess you're right. AJ says, we need to pick up a friend. Who's that friend going to be? And then they talk about Daniel potentially being that friend. like they say, or AJ
Why
says,
why
what else?
why are we taking out Daniel for these other people who want to
Yes.
take Daniel out? Like we can't.
Exactly.
Why are we doing their bidding? What you know? And sorry, I don't like. But he also says like, do you watch Big Brother? And Lance was like, no, I've never seen an episode. But he gives him this like beautiful analogy. It's probably the nicest way that I've ever heard anyone describe Paul from Big Brother 18 and Big Brother 19. But he says like, you know, they were they came into the game not knowing anything about the game, and then by the jury, everybody was like, who is this person? They're going to be terrible. Like they're not going to win. And then he flipped it. He changed the narrative, and he's like, and Lance, you can do that too. He basically was like motivating Lance, and it was so beautiful and it was so pure. And Lance was like, oh, I'm inspired. Like
also, Lance, you could have second place.
Yeah, I mean, that was the underlying.
Yes.
Like,
The underlying story is like, I'm winning. You're gonna sit next to me when
Paul.
I win, but you're gonna be at the end, Lance. Isn't that so exciting?
Oh my god.
So
Lance said
So
that he has been approaching an HOH like a survivor immunity, and AJ was like, yes, and like you are safe, but there's more to it. And Lance is like, I can't put my finger on what it is that's more to the HOH. And AJ's like, you have to do something with it to better your game. You have to get blood on your hands. So like I feel like Lance is like, when AJ said Lance was everybody's target, like Lance went from a completely dark room to having like a really dim flashlight, and then he could see. But now AJ has flipped on the entire floodlights to Lance, and the game is wide open for both of them to do something, and I cannot wait to see what they're going to do.
I'm so excited. Something I want to look out for and this is our last 3-day round of the season, so this is the time to put in the work and get those trios formed. Looking forward today. Y'all are stuck with me all day, viewing party. I will be going live on Facebook to do our HOH competition, $1 million money drop, where our house guests have the option to play for HOH or play for the advantage. So head to Facebook. I'll tag everyone in the Discord when we're going live. We're going live with Jack now.
5 minutes ago.
Yeah, 5 minutes ago. But I want to be here with y'all, so it's more important to me. Jack can wait. Any predictions for what's going to happen today, and anything else we want to talk about before we head on out?
Low whisperings. Oh, it is. And low
I would have
whisperings.
answered questions in a different order. I would have survived into like the very like last round, but I went out like third round because I picked that wrong question, third or fourth or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Whisperings of a lot of people going to be playing for the power instead of for HOH, which is very interesting.
I love that.
So we'll see what that. I mean, it could come down to just 1, 2, or 3 people that go for the HOH, which is really interesting. I can't believe that people aren't going for the HOH after last night.
How do that many people feel safe? Oh my god.
I mean, if I was Jack, if I was Danielle, if I was Lance, if I was
Danielle
Courtney,
keeps talking about going for the power
yeah,
to
I'd
like
probably feel
prevent
safe too.
Daniel from winning it. I was like, people are going to go from the power. I wouldn't worry about that.
If I'm Jabbar, if I'm Angelica, if I'm Erica, you best believe I'm going for that HOH. So.
Absolutely.
Remind me what the power is.
It's the cube.
Oh, that's the cube. Okay, cool.
They basically, for you guys that don't know, like they are able to pull themselves out of the contention to be nominated, essentially, for an entire round. But they have to say before the nominations. Is that it? Is that what we're doing?
I think Josh changed it.
I think it's different, isn't it?
I think Josh changed it. It's like an extra like POV of some sort. Josh has the write-up. If you want the tea, tag Josh in the Discord.
Yeah,
shows what we know.
Cutthroat has me fucked up because I miss a lot of the planning of the season because of
tag Josh in the Discord. Blow his ass up. Well, he's at church right now, but blow his ass up.
Blow his ass up anyway.
And he'll get you with the powers because, girl, he tried to explain it to me, and I was like, because I was in Instinct when we literally, I was in the Instinct finale when they were like trying to like plan this. I'm like, I got my mind elsewhere. Like, love y'all, but gotta go bye. But that is all I have. For those who want to watch the live HOH, I'll see y'all in about 30 seconds. But for those who just want the tea, ooh, that echo is back. We're back again at 10:30 a.m. Eastern tomorrow to discuss more tea in the Big Brother Hometowns 14 house. But
Good luck, Mitchell Hammond. Good luck, Danielle, and the double cross finale
Double
tonight.
Cross tonight. Go watch that at 9:30 Eastern on the Double Cross page. But for all the winners in this group, for BBH 13 winner Crystal, for Survivor Superfans 32, Andrew Weather Hometowns 3 winner Max, and for it's backwards. And for Cutthroat 8 All-Stars winner Mitchell Stokes. I'm CLC. That's it for today. Stay thirsty, my friends, for more tea tomorrow. Bye.